So, speaking of British stereotypes, I've been playing Henry Hatsworth in the Puzzling Adventure for the DS, which is a very interesting thing. It's brought out by Electronic Arts Casual Studio, I believe. And the idea behind it is that it is a platformer on the top screen where you play as this old English explorer called Henry Hatsworth, who's this sort of a treasure hunter. And on the bottom screen, you have a puzzle game, which is effectively Planet Puzzle League or Tetris Attack, whatever you want to call it, where you can move blocks horizontally, and you have to match 3 basically. And if you match 3, they disappear. So, the two interact between each other. So, at the most basic level, if you kill an enemy on the top screen, either with your little blunderbuss, which you've got, which fires little laser bolts,
blunderbuss, really,
or your cane, or a sword, depending on the type of Hatsworth you have, and I'll get to that in a minute.
This has Britain written all over it.
Yeah, if you kill an enemy on the top screen, it becomes a block on the bottom screen. And the bottom screen is always scrolling upwards. If the block gets to the top of the screen on the lower screen, it comes back into the puzzler and tries to kill you.
What?
So there's that. Huh? And then there's, if you pick up like health or an extra life or power-ups in the platformer on the top screen, you have to eliminate it in the puzzle in order to actually get hold of it, in order to use it. So that's the most basic level of it. But the thing is that the two different games interact with each other in extremely cool ways. Like, you have this super meter, and every time you clear blocks from the puzzle game, you fill up the super meter. If you fill up the super meter to once, so that it's like green, then if you're playing as old Hatsworth, you become young Hatsworth, where he actually is dressed like an explorer with like a pith helmet, and he has a big knife. What's it called? Machete. Machete. Instead of his cane.
Does he have his mustache still?
Yes, of course he has his mustache, except it's now ginger instead of being grey. But if you change from old Hatsworth to new Hatsworth, you get most of your health back, which is cool. So, and if you fill it up a second time, so the meter is yellow, you can activate tea time, where you go. It plays this ridiculously patriotic cutscene where it plays a la Turca, which people will know from the world-famous Jam and Slaver Reviews theme music. It plays the first line on a harpsichord and the second line on an electric guitar, and then goes into sort of ridiculous death metal as Hatsworth transforms into this giant steampunk robot who starts kicking everything's ass on the screen. So there's that in that, you have to be switching backwards and forwards between the puzzle in order to A, get yourself more health and to activate power-ups, B, to keep your power meter your super meter topped up in case you at some point need to switch from old Hatsworth to new Hatsworth and get yourself more health that way. You can, if you fire a couple of shots with your blunderbuss, if they're still in the air, if you activate the puzzle whilst they're still in the air, if you complete a couple of combos in the puzzle, it powers up those shots. Oh. So that's really useful if you don't want to waste energy, because using your blunderbuss uses up your super meter. So there's all kinds of different interactions between the two games, and it's really cool the way that the game uses all of them, because at first the puzzle game the platformer is pretty simple. It's just basically, here's an enemy, kill it with your thing and move on, a little bit of jumping and that sort of thing. But as you progress through the game, you find new pieces of the golden suit, which is the things you're basically trying to find, which has the golden bowler hat is the first thing you find, which basically allows you to activate the puzzle. Then you have the gentleman's pantaloons, which allow you to do wall jumps. Then you get the gentleman's pipe, which allows you to breathe underwater. All sorts of things like that, and it basically gives you more moves as you complete more levels.
Oh, so you just kind of build up your character. Exactly,
and as you get further on in the game, the platforming starts to get really challenging, and it starts to work in aspects of the puzzle game. Like, occasionally you'll see these empty blocks where you have to complete a bit of the puzzle game in order to fill them in, and occasionally, there's a boss battle where the boss destroys the floor from underneath you, so you have to keep switching back to the puzzle in order to rebuild the floor. So, all kinds of crazy, amazing stuff where it has a total knowledge of its own gameplay mechanics.
Awesome.
I think that's the best way I can describe it. It's very much like Mario in that respect, except it has way more gameplay mechanics. And so the crazy and impressive ideas that they come up with in order to use all of these different things is just mind-blowingly awesome. So on its own, the platformer would be really cool, and it's also really, really difficult. I'm on World 4 now, which is actually inside the puzzle realm itself. and it is super difficult. It's like I've died so many times from stupid things. It's really actually quite impressive how a game which gives you multiple hits to die, like depending on the enemy, you'll have like 5 or 6 hits before you actually die, and a ranged attack, and a melee attack, and like a ground stomp attack. It's actually really easy to die, which is pretty impressive considering all the different things it gives you to not do that. Plus, there's the puzzle as well, which can use to help out. So overall, it's really, really cool. The puzzle is super well made. Sorry, the platform. Damn, I keep getting those mixed up. The platformer is super well designed. The puzzle is much simpler. It's very, very easy to get into. I mean, it's basically, as I said, it's Planet Puzzle League, but without the hazard of stuff scrolling to the top of the screen. Because if normal blocks scroll to the top of the screen, nothing happens. It's only if enemies get up to the top then that there's any effect.
It sounds like there is a lot going on, and even just between the two screens and the two different styles of gameplay, is it easy to switch between those? Is it?
Yeah. Because it's very easy. It pauses the platformer.
So you can solve the puzzle. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I would
so
just
it
try and
pauses
think
that.
it's trying to think like if you're trying to do the puzzle while you're shooting guys up top, that's almost as bad as trying to find a health kit in Resident Evil 5 and trade it to your pack mule.
No, it's not like that. It's a pack mule. Yeah, it is seriously good, and it just, the ways that it continues to spring new and interesting things on me. It's like, oh yeah, of course, I forgot I could do that, and now I actually need to use it. It just hits all the right platforming buttons where it very slowly builds up all of your abilities and then requires you to use them, and then it combines them together and mixes it all up, so it's just extremely well made. The production values are awesome. It's just got these funny little British stereotype characters, which are just so funny to look at. And yeah, there's nothing I don't like about the game. It's so good.
Awesome.